In the last video, we arrived at Ricketts Glen State Park in the northeast corner of Pennsylvania. We were doing some hiking and we went down to the beach to have lunch, but the weather had other plans. We had some very severe thunderstorms. But luckily, things calmed down the next day, and we got to go out for a very nice birthday hike on the Falls Trail. This is the main trail in Ricketts Glen that has 21 waterfalls in just a little over 8 miles that you get to see up really close.
So don't let the weight of the world slow you down. And if you search for the meaning of life, it won't be found. So take your insecurities and leave them all behind. Let's learn to make the most of our time. Of our time.
The upper part of the Falls Trail is shaped like an upside-down triangle. We went up the left side, and then as we crossed over to the opposite side, we stopped by a stream to enjoy lunch. If we're going on a longer hike, we will often bring our backpacking stove, and this is nice because if we stop, we might want to make something hot for lunch, or we might just make coffee and sit and relax, because what's better than having coffee in the middle of the woods? Pretty nice spot to stop and have a coffee.
Some Starbucks instant.
Yeah, Starbucks in the woods. Heading out of our nice little lunch spot. We're just going down now, right?
Yeah.
We just have the last piece of the triangle.
Yeah.
Some more waterfalls on that side. As you hike along the Falls Trail, you get to see some very interesting rock formations. Some of them are natural, like this one, and some of them are man-made through the very intense trail work that must go into maintaining this heavily used trail. The trail is very well maintained. I'm kind of amazed by the amount of trail work. Yeah, hats off to the trail crew, because moving these stones and getting them all lined up like this is a lot of work. I did the trail crew in New Hampshire, was it 6 years ago? Yeah, we had to carry all the equipment up the mountain and then actually start the work. So it was the most physically demanding thing I've ever done. If you are a hiker and you ever get the opportunity to do some trail work or to be part of a trail crew, I highly recommend it. I spent a week in the White Mountains of New Hampshire with the Appalachian Mountain Club, and it was a very physically demanding experience, but it was a lot of fun, and I got to meet some great people, and I've never really looked at a hiking trail the same after that experience. I can only imagine how much work it was building this stone staircase right on the edge of the falls in such a challenging location, but they did it beautifully, and the steps make it a lot easier to access this area that would otherwise be very difficult to hike. I was also glad that we took some time beforehand to do some workouts going up and down bleachers. That is a way that we find really gets our legs prepared for doing a hike like this. One of my favorite things about hiking this trail are the areas with these cascades on the sides of the rocks. Since it rained so much yesterday, I'm sure this was extra active, but the water would catch the sunlight and sparkle like crystals. I just saw something move and I thought it was a worm at first. It's so cute. We finished the rest of the descent down into the glen, and when we got back to Water's Meet, I felt like I could have turned around and hiked the whole loop again, but we were getting pretty hungry, so we headed back down to the parking area to go back to the Scamp. That was a extremely enjoyable hike.
Yeah.
It's like 10 after 4 right now, so we left at what, 10:30?
Yeah. On the trail about 4.5 hours.
We were taking our time. We stopped a couple times, checked out the waterfalls, had snacks, but 21 waterfalls in a day is pretty good hiking, and the trail is neat with like stone steps and everything. It's just kind of everything you want in a hike, all crammed into a small area. So now we're gonna head back, and hopefully we can actually have a real campfire tonight, and some food and some cake. The first thing on the menu tonight is these roasted red potatoes with garlic, butter, and rosemary, and I made that in the Omnia. And I put it with some mushroom risotto, which is one of my favorite things. So hopefully this mushroom risotto is pretty good. I didn't make it from scratch. This was from a mix because I am camping. But it smells great. And then there's going to be cake.
It's going to be a little bit vanilla-y.
Yeah, extra vanilla. Never heard anyone.
So I'm going to be doing this for the next 45 minutes.
You want to take a guess how long you think it's going to take?
It's at least 45 minutes.
Seriously? No.
30? Good 30.
All right, well,
Good solid 30.
you have some strong hands.
Do it?
You will.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 7:44. You did it.
About a half hour.
Looks good. Now let's just hope the cake comes out okay.
Yeah.
If not, we'll just have ice cream with whipped cream on it.
Okay.
That still sounds pretty good.
That's fine.
While I finished making the birthday cake, we looked outside and we had a little visitor on the hill behind our campsite. Things must have been smelling really good around the Scamp at that point. As I was finishing up the food, Patrick was getting the campfire ready, so we finally had some good weather to enjoy a campfire. We have our cake from the Omnia. We have the whipped cream that Patrick worked so hard on. And then we picked up strawberries and cream ice cream at the store because we were going to get strawberries, but we couldn't find any fresh strawberries. We figured next best thing. So that's the celebration. No candles, but actually I think this is better. We finally get to enjoy our campfire. We were half expecting it to start thundering as soon as we sat down to enjoy the cake and ice cream, but the weather cooperated. Now Patrick might need some hand therapy after making that whipped cream by hand, but it was definitely worth it. The combination of cake, the fresh whipped cream, and the strawberries ice cream was so good. How's your hot dog?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
First time for me.
You've never made a hot dog over the fire?
Nope.
I feel like about 50% of the time it just falls in. You don't get to eat it. I think the hike today was one of my top 5 favorite hikes that we've done, just because it's waterfall after waterfall. What was it, 21?
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, normally you do a hike just to see one, and it's not even that big. These are like big big waterfalls. And we were lucky that it was a weekday because it was still pretty busy even on a weekday. I can't imagine on a weekend. Those narrow little rock stairs, you're probably constantly having to stop and like wait for somebody else to go by.
On the hike, just don't wear flip-flops. I don't recommend that.
No flip-flops and no sneakers either, because a lot of people were in sneakers and they were sliding a lot. And I'll wear like trail runners sometimes if we're on an easier hike, but I knew it was going to be rocky and it rained yesterday. And I'm sure it wouldn't even have to rain. And a lot of like the spray from the waterfalls probably keeps the rocks wet all the time. So they were pretty slippery. And we had our really good hiking boots on and it was still a little precarious sometimes. Actually, at the end, we both kind of like fell on our butts at one point.
I slipped once in the beginning and then you coming back.
I feel like it would be really easy to get hurt if you didn't have the right footwear on that trail. I think it's a good thing you didn't wait because you were thinking about doing the proposal there.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't.
I don't think it would have worked.
That wouldn't work. No.
There are too many people. It's like one of those things that's good in theory. Like in your head, you're picturing it like waterfall, and it would be so nice. But there would be like people walking by. It wouldn't have worked. And the chances of you losing the ring before that would have been pretty good. We hiked 8 miles in Pennsylvania.
We didn't go anywhere.
0 ticks.
Yeah.
It's just the barometer is so different. And I have to kind of think like when we're walking through grass, I'm like, oh no, ticks, chiggers.
Is it worth it?
Here, I don't have to worry about that. It's fine. Like I can walk through ankle-high grass and not panic. At home, that just is a bad idea. That will lead to weeks of torturous itching. So tomorrow, we're switching gears a little bit. We've kind of done our hiking and camping thing by ourselves, and now we're actually going to be meeting up with Patrick's brother, Andy, who has been on the videos before, and a group of friends that he goes off-roading with in the Jeep Club. And a couple of the guys have been on the other video that we did for the Jeep when we did the South Jersey trip. But we're going to be meeting up with them at Bald Eagle State Park to do some off-roading, mild off-roading. We're not doing anything crazy. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be like a different element to our trip. You know, the way the past year has been, doing anything social is like a treat now.
Hot dog done.
Hot dog done.
Yep.
Well, you worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear of your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air, and 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again, and though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.